Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing part of the comeback collection at Breitling. A late 2018 release. This is the Breitling Premier B01 Chronograph 42, part of the Georges Curran-led CVC equity financed revival of the Breitling brand. A timepiece inspired by the Premier collection of the 1950s. It's a 42mm stainless steel sport style watch that's best described as a sporting all-arounder that references vintage design but with modern dimensions. On my 16cm circumference wrist, it's an easy 42 to wear, though it does measure a little bit closer to 43 than a true 42. 14mm thick, it's slim enough to slip underneath a cuff, all jackets and most dress shirts. Lug to lug, it's nicely constrained. This could have been a massive dimension, and this is the difference between Breitling past and present. Now 49.8mm lug to lug. I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14cm circumference. And modern watch, remember, vintage cues. There's a 22mm spacing between the lugs, so there's a handsome, broadly stanced proportion on the wrist. The timepiece has a wonderful strap, and this is part of the surprise and delight of rediscovering Breitling as a brand. The company always fits excessively rich straps that feel like they should be on a watch costing thousands more. This is large rectangular scale alligator leather, the most expensive kind, bolstered, thickly cut. It's a sort of cobalt blue. It's lighter than navy. With a contrasting stitch, you can see from the sheer sides the layers of construction and how thick they are. And then there is a buttery smooth saddle brown calfskin on the back that feels incredibly rich and broken in, though you can see this is a new Breitling factory strap. The buckle is handsome. It's a twin trigger release, so you can't accidentally pop it open with jerks or violence or concussion on the wrist. And because it's a folding clasp, it's there to protect you against droppage while donning or removing at bedside. I appreciate that Breitling didn't just fit a pin buckle and call it a day. A combination of polish and satin finish, you'll note that there's a little expanding bevel on the edge of the buckle that nicely parallels the design of the lug. The case profile of the watch is probably the most interesting element to the style, and it's probably the least featured online. When you research this watch, you only see soldier shots from the front. You rarely see that the case side strakes echo the machine aesthetic of mid-century modern, from architecture to product design. That was a period when those designing things meant for use by humans most frequently referenced materials and machines, and you could see that machine aesthetic, if you will, in kind of a cheeky sort of 1950s nomenclature, the diner aesthetic on the flank of this watch inspired by 1950s watches. It's the profile of the lug that really grabs me, however. As you can see, there's an expanding bevel that runs down not just the flank of the lug, but also around the ends of the lugs, rounding off their profile and contrasting the satin to the polish. Vintage-inspired rectangular section pushers that are both polished and satin finished on different facets, and then there is a sharply knurled Breitling crown that has been created just for this series and the Navitimer 8s. You can feel that this crown is unlike anything else in the industry because of the knurling and its sharpness. Very few crowns can be identified by their profile feel. There's a double-stepped conical bezel, and then you can see the dial itself covered by a domed sapphire designed to evoke the off-axis distortion of 1950s plexiglass crystals. Under that sapphire, you can see there is a tachymeter flange in slate gray calibrated to an extraordinary 700 units, so you can use this tack for gauging the speed of very fast objects. The sunburst blue center is nicely divided between twin registers, as Breitling's B01 Chronograph has been modified for a vintage-inspired twin register layout with constant seconds and chronograph minutes. There are applique indices, diamond polished, applique Breitling logo. There's a date down at 6 o'clock, and it's a handsome bilaterally symmetrical dial with sunken registers featuring concentric snailing in that same slate gray as the tack. Breitling wants you to think in-house caliber when you see tone-on-tone dials, and that's exactly what you have here. Now, there's a stop seconds function. There's also a quick set function for the date, so you can rapidly cycle it. Inside the case, Breitling's caliber B01 manufacture movement. It debuted 10 years ago this year, but we've rarely seen it as display case backs weren't a thing at Breitling. Now you can see it's a wonderful looking movement. It's actually quite sharp for something that wasn't designed to be seen, and it has a very crisp column wheel action. Have a listen. It's up there with the best: Zenithal Primero, Longa Datograph, and Rolex Daytona. Now the other thing is, You get that crisp column wheel feel and sound, but you also get vertical clutch engagement, which means that when you start the chronograph, there's no stagger or jump to the seconds hand. A further advantage of the vertical clutch is that you can simply leave it engaged and have center hours, minutes, and seconds. Just ignore the registers. There's no additional harm, wear, or tear on your watch for leaving a vertical clutch chronograph engaged. Automatic winding, 70-hour power reserve, 41 joules. It beats away at a modern high-beat 28,800 vibrations per hour, stop seconds, quick set date. Of course, the COSC chronograph is a wonderful combination of all the modern standards, and it's in a case that will hold it in good stead against the elements. 100 meters water resistant. This is a watch with which you can swim, provided you put it on a water resistant band. An elegant all-arounder to fit just about any wrist size, any occasion, from formal to highly informal. A historically inspired piece with modern fit, finish, and dimensions. See it and make it yours on the watch box. Breitling Premier B01.